Welcome to The Explainer. You know, sometimes a single court case can just blow up into this huge national conversation. And that's exactly what's happening right now in Utah. We're talking about the death penalty, and this one case shows just how divided the country really is on its ultimate punishment.
All right, let's just jump right in. This quote, it really hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures this tension, right? You've got this one very public case that's basically forcing a spotlight onto a huge national debate. It really makes you wonder, where do we actually stand on the death penalty today?
So here's the rundown of what happened. You have Charlie Kirk, a really well-known conservative activist, who was assassinated during an event at a university. The police have a suspect, a 22-year-old named Tyler Robinson. And here's the thing that makes this a national story. Prosecutors are going for the death penalty.
And that immediately makes you ask, right? I mean, the death penalty is getting rarer and rarer. So why this case? Why are they pushing for it now? What is it about this one that's different?
Well, the answer really comes down to the legal charge itself. It's not just murder, it's aggravated murder. Prosecutors are saying, look, the suspect didn't just kill someone. They claim he put a lot of other people in danger, that he specifically targeted Kirk because of his political beliefs, and this is a big one, that he knew kids were there and would see it happen. Legally speaking, those are the kinds of things that allow a jury to even start talking about the death penalty.
But, it's not as simple as just, guilty, you're done. It's actually a two-step process. First, the jury has to convict him, okay? That's step one. Then, there's a whole second phase, the penalty phase. And this is where the defense gets to present what are called mitigating factors. Things like the defendant's mental health, or maybe a traumatic childhood. The jury has to listen to all of that and weigh it against the crime before they make that final, incredibly heavy decision, life in prison or death.
So to really get what's going on here, we have to zoom in on Utah itself. The state has a pretty unique relationship with capital punishment, and you can't understand this case without looking at that history.
Get this. The Supreme Court brought back the death penalty way back in 1976. Since then, in all those years, how many people has Utah executed? Just 7. I mean, think about that. 7 people in almost half a century.
And here's where that number really hits you. You see Utah's 7, and then you look at Texas. Texas has executed 595 people in that same time frame. It's just staggering. It shows you that there's no single American system for this. It's all over the map, depending on where you live.
And that difference isn't just about executions, it's also about who's currently on death row. You've got California at the top with 585 inmates waiting, and then Utah? Just 8. Tiny in comparison. And then it gets even more interesting. You've got states like Oregon and Wyoming where the death penalty is technically legal, but their death rows are completely empty. 0 people.
So this is really the key takeaway here. This Utah case, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's playing out against this huge national trend that's been going on for decades. And that trend is a big move away from capital punishment.
Let's talk about what people think. Public support for the death penalty, it's at a near 50-year low. The country's basically split right down the middle. But what's really telling is when you look at age. A majority of adults under 43 are actually against it now. That's a huge generational shift.
And if you think that's a big deal, look at the numbers from the courts themselves. They're even more dramatic. Back in the mid-90s, juries were sentencing over 300 people to death every single year. Last year, that number was 26. I mean, the drop is just incredible. It's plummeted. And a big reason for that drop is that the laws themselves have changed. The death penalty is only even an option in 27 states now. That means almost half the country has just stopped. Either they passed laws to get rid of it, or their governors have put a halt to all executions.
So, okay, the big question is, why? What's behind this massive, decades-long decline? Well, as you can probably guess, it's not just one simple thing.
Experts point to a whole bunch of reasons. For one, juries today seem a lot more reluctant to hand down a death sentence. Then there's the legal process itself. The appeals can drag on for years, which is just brutal for the victims' families. And remember those mitigating factors we talked about? They can make it really tough for prosecutors to win a death sentence, which is why a lot of times families would rather just take a plea bargain that guarantees life in prison.
Oh, and you can't forget about the cost. It's a huge factor.
A study right there in Utah found that going for the death penalty costs the state an extra $1.5 million per case, on average. When you compare that to a life sentence case, that's a massive financial reason for prosecutors to think twice.
So we've looked at the law, we've looked at Utah's history, and we've seen the big national picture. And it all brings us right back to where we started. This one case and what it means for the whole country.
And that leaves us with this huge, lingering question, doesn't it? Is this case just an outlier? Is it a rare exception to a practice that's basically fading away? Or could it be a sign of something else? A sign that maybe the death penalty is making a comeback, at least for certain kinds of high-profile crimes? At the end of the day, that's the real tension here. You have one state seeking a penalty that's become incredibly rare in a country that is, by and large, moving in the opposite direction. This case is like it's trying to swim against a really strong current, a current of changing ideas about what justice looks like in America. And honestly, whatever happens here could really tell us a lot about where that current is taking all of us.